Fall TV preview continues with... Oops, I missed one in there. It's a TV musing of the originals. I couldn't decide. I think I'm going with... No, I'm going with this one. It's cleaner. I like the idea of the other one, and this fleur-de-lis is a little wonky, but I'm going with that one. So the originals is a spin-off series of the Vampire Diaries, and so spoiler warning, I have to do spoiler warning very early, for both this first episode of the originals and season 1 through 4, unfortunately, of Vampire Diaries, because anything about this series could be in, in the Vampire Diaries as it stands, so as it was. Okay, spoiler warning there. The backdoor pilot of the originals was implanted into season 4 of the Vampire Diaries, and I actually initially I avoid spoilers, so I didn't want to know what it was about. All we knew was that there was going to be a spin-off series called The Originals, backdoor pilot called The Originals. The original family in the Vampire Diaries world is like Klaus, Elijah, and Rebecca, and the two other brothers, and but with this title of the originals, I so thought it was going to be his historical series about back in the day, all like hairpieces and like period costume, and sort of how the family got together. But they actually sort of explain that throughout the series of the Vampire Diaries, so that it makes sense. I still thought it was going to be that. Then when the backdoor pilot came out, and I just hate that term. It just gives me weird literal translation, visual imagery that I don't want. I do not want. But anyway, putting that aside, then I finally saw that episode of the originals, and I was like, oh my god, this is actually going to be awesome. It's current day set. It's going to be set in New Orleans, hence the fleur-de-lis, and with them wanting to take over or take back the town from the guy who currently runs it, Marcel. So I'm like, oh my god, like that's totally interesting. And hey, you're taking Klaus out of the Vampire Diaries and Elijah out of the Vampire Diaries, and Rebecca, who I get hot and cold on a little bit. I actually am really excited to see her in this series because I really think her character could have a lot more to it. But anyway, those are some of my favorite characters from the Vampire Diaries, so to give them their own series, I was like, all for it! And then when I thought it was current day, I was like, all for it! So that I was actually initially hesitant when I heard about it, then I saw this pre-series episode, excited, and then now here we are with the premiere was last night. So that takes us to last night, season 1, episode 1, Always and Forever. Now, I am a little confused, and normally I would have gone and rewatched the other episode, but the spring and the summer was really challenging for me, so I didn't have it, for one, and so that just really, and it was tumultuous times, so I'm just going to leave that at that. So normally I would go back and rewatch it, but I didn't. So when I watched this episode, I was kind of like, a lot of this seems very familiar. I was really confused. A lot of it felt like exactly from the backdoor pilot, but not everything. And then sometimes it felt a little different, and then sometimes I'm like, I think Klaus's hair is different, so I feel like they reshot it or something. So I'm like, I don't get it. Like, so that was really weird. Now, they did extend the story further and in different dimensions and deeper, which is this, I find this very strange, not strange, very, I don't know, prevalent trend in young adult fiction in terms of novels, is that we see more stories from other people's perspectives to deepen the story, and I'm like, and I get that, but like for this is like the series premiere, so like I don't understand if what they were trying to do was to make sure that if you started watching tonight and didn't see the other one, you would understand it. I guess that's what happened. But for me, who's like, and for, like, how many people are going to watch this series without seeing the Vampire Diaries? That feels weird to me. Maybe I guess they always want more viewers, so I get why they there was a lot of explainy bits, but I'm like, a lot of it felt familiar, and then I was confused about whether or not it was familiar. So it's kind of stuck in a loop of, have I seen this before? Do I know this? Have I seen this? I already know that. But, oh, I don't know that, so it's not everything. So that, I got to say, I was not that impressed with that, and it made more sense of why they were airing it after the Vampire Diaries. And then it feels like next week, when they start airing on Tuesday, that it will really be the series premiere. But you don't want to start on not a bang, but if you stuck with it, there's definitely a bang. It was definitely dramatic and exciting and crazy, and it threw you for only a few loops. Actually, there's only one loop. I was thrown for one loop. The rest of them were I already had jumped through when I saw the other episode. So I'm a little confused about that, but because it was very explainy with Elijah basically going around, trying to figure out what's happening, because Klaus was lured to New Orleans by the witches, and Marcel runs he won't let the witches do witchcraft. So for me, I'm like, oh, that is not allowed. So they explain a little bit why they, how he can do that, and the witches don't just want to kill him. So they need Klaus. They lured Klaus in to help them defeat Marcel and reclaim their witchcraft, practices and stuff. So all of that really works for me. Then there's, of course, the weird, the bizarreness of Haley being pregnant with Klaus's werewolf baby. So I guess hybrid baby, quarter hybrid. Can you be less than full hybrid? I don't know. So that story's a little crazy. It's a little twy, but that's okay. I don't mind. I love Haley as a character. When she was on the Vampire, she's a werewolf, but when she was on the Vampire Diaries, she wasn't. She didn't have, she was always great, but she didn't have that much to work with. And this is actually one of the reasons why I'm really happy that they have the series. Is with the Vampire Diaries, they try to pack so much in there that it's just not even possible to follow everything. And I found in the earlier seasons they were pretty gutsy and they would kill off a lot of characters, and now they don't really do that. Even if someone does die, they actually come back. So there's for me that bursts the bubble of tension, and I watch a lot of supernatural shows, so I see a lot of the patterns, and I know a lot of the stories, and I know a lot of the places they go. And I'll give it to Vampire Diaries that they often do go a lot of places that I haven't seen other series go, but I feel like it's less risky because they bring characters back. And I understand that because people love characters and they, have their favorites, and there's always people that you are rooting for and wanting to see their stories, but time is finite. A show is a finite amount of time. People only get a finite amount of scenes. So I think splitting them off into two series and pulling Klaus, Rebecca, and Elijah, who didn't he die? I thought he died. I didn't really understand that. I'm gonna go back and read up on what happened to him, because when he came back in season 4, I was like, what? So, but anyway, to pull them off and give them their own series, I think is good. It'll give Vampire Diaries more breathing room, and then give this series a chance to explore these characters even more. And I know Klaus is a fan favorite for sure. He's definitely one of my favorite characters. I think he is my favorite character. I love Caroline. See, and putting them on different series is not good. But anyway, it's also because Joseph Morgan is such a good actor and Daniel Gilles, who plays Elijah, is also a formidable actor. So I especially felt with Joseph Morgan, he would just sort of act the pants off of everyone. So I think splitting them off is good. So anyway, I don't know, I'm getting a little rambly here. But this series definitely has a different theme and a different tone. I have heard an interview, and they did say that this one is about power, and power for the city, and power for New Orleans. So that's a different theme than the sort of romance and love triangle and, character struggle and personal identity stuff that is going on in the Vampire Diaries. So splitting that off is good, I think, too. And although power isn't always one of my favorite things, it also looks like they're exploring family and love, which is awesome, and but also with power and then conflict, because not everyone agrees on what all of those things, which one is the most important, and can they coexist and stuff like that. So that's actually, I think, very promising, really interesting ideas, great themes, and so I'm looking forward to that. But I do have to say, overall, in this particular episode, I was a bit disappointed because, one, I felt like we were retreading on old ground, and two, there was some stuff that was new, but not so much that it felt like its own independent episode. I felt like it was mostly retracing, what we had seen before. And then that's weird because they threw in some historical bits as well, and creative storytelling, to explain the history of their family, just in case anyone doesn't know or needs the reminder, which I appreciate. I'm more appreciative of reminders and stuff like that as of late, but for the family history, yes. For why they're there, no. And also because it felt confusing. This was really Elijah going around trying to clean up Klaus's mess, or trying to negotiate Klaus to do what Elijah thinks he should do, and of course that's not going to work. Klaus being Klaus, he's going to do what he wants. But there is an interesting dynamic there in terms of, where, the power of love stronger than the power to, the urge of wanting power. I don't know. Those are good themes. I like that. So, and obviously Haley is on the show. Looks like we'll see a fair more about her. Don't know much about the witches, but I love them. I loved all the scenes with the witches. I think it's Sophie. Sophie is sort of the ringleader, the new ringleader after her sister was killed. So that was all pretty cool. And I hope that they go more into the witchcraft, but it's hard to tell. It looks like they're not allowed, which I'm not okay with. So, but they're resisting and challenging that, which is interesting. So we'll go. Of course, I'll watch it. I'm really excited. I think it was the show I was most excited for starting new this season. So that makes me go, "Ugh!" So I hope the second episode really kicks butt. And again, I'm just really bizarre choice to not have this be like, it feels almost like a prequel, which is weird, but it's not. I don't know. I'm curious. Are you gonna watch? Have you watched the show? Are you thinking about watching the show? And do you think it needed to be so expositional? I did not quite think so. I will definitely be talking about it with my sister Susie over at Hexed, Sisterhood of the Supernatural. I'll put the link there. Oh, I don't think I can. Actually, I'll put the link in the description because it's actually a site, not a YouTube channel. We talk about a lot of paranormal TV, and as I said, we've talked about Vampire Diaries since, the 12th episode, so, we're pretty deep in that world. So, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and I again apologize for not doing the October preview. I am in the midst of moving, so I was surprised I could even bang this out. So, the original's promising. I hope the second episode's better. Curious to see where it goes. Alright, thanks for watching.